Welcome back. It has been roughly 8 months since one of the deadliest wildfires in U.S. history ripped through Hawaii, causing billions of dollars in damages and killing more than 100 people in the historic town of Lahaina. And now 2 reports released this week are shedding some light onto what exactly happened and the contributing factors, including a communications breakdown, a lack of disaster preparation, and unprecedented weather conditions. For more, let's bring in Jason Jones, founder of the Vulnerable People Project and a Hawaii native. Jason, always good to see you, my friend. So what is your assessment of these reports?
Well, in the first sentence of the report, it says it doesn't seek to place blame or to discover a cause, but to lay out the facts. But the report makes clear what was obvious to me. I was on the ground there 72 hours after the fire. This fire was caused by power lines that were blown down into grassy fields. The brush was not maintained properly. There were not breaks, and the fire spread quite rapidly. What's tragic, as this report comes out, and it doesn't lay out any steps to make Lahaina safe, and I think the one thing we should all agree on is our goal is to make Lahaina safe and to keep those local communities, to keep Lahaina local. The Hawaiian communities and those Kama'aina communities should stay in Lahaina, but they don't lay out the next steps. But as a report is being published, they're putting power lines back up. What should have been made clear in 2018, there was a fire in 2018 where five homes were destroyed. The fire almost leaped over the highway. And then after this catastrophe in September, what should be made clear is the power lines need to be buried. The report makes that clear, even though it doesn't state that. The fire was caused by power lines that were blown down from hurricane force winds into grassy fields that weren't maintained.
Yeah, and Jason, I know that some members of your organization, they were in Lahaina just last week. What did they see, and what did they have to say about how the community is faring now?
Yeah, we had members there last week. I'm on calls almost every day with local residents. The tragedy is that people are leaving every day. So the real fight is to keep the locals in Lahaina. There's still a housing crisis. I've talked to family members where they don't have a kitchen in the house, or there's 15 people in a home with 1 bathroom and 1 bedroom. So the housing crisis needs to be addressed. We need to keep Lahaina local, and we need to bury those power lines. The state of Hawaii has spent $10 billion on 11 miles of a rail line on the island of Oahu. That money would have better been deployed at burying those power lines in Lahaina and in other Hawaiian communities that can face similar catastrophe.
Yeah, and going forward, Jason, what do you think should be done to prevent this from ever happening again?
Well, first thing is first, is we have to look at the facts as they are and not be afraid to respond to those facts. The money needs to be spent. Hawaiian Electric, which is owned in part by BlackRock, it appears that they're responsible for this fire, or the city and county for not maintaining those breaks. The money needs to be spent. The power lines need to be buried. And at all costs, the locals, the families of Lahaina that were knit together, first the Hawaiian communities that were there at contact, and then the immigrant communities over the past 2 centuries that have knit together a beautiful ohana, one of the most beautiful communities in the world. They need to remain in Lahaina.
Yeah, and Jason, you were there, you mentioned on the ground 72 hours after this fire happened. You helped out tremendously the community there. How are they doing? You mentioned, I asked before how they were faring. What do they need? I mean, I'm sure there's still some ongoing needs.
Yeah, the housing crisis is the real catastrophe. I talked to one family that has moved 30 times in 8 months. So you have to imagine, if you have children, they have to go to school. Having to move almost every other week for 8 months, not knowing what the future holds. I've talked to principals of schools who say that they know that their parents have notified them that a lot of the families plan on moving to the mainland after the school year. So I would like to see the state of Hawaii make the best effort to keep those families in Hawaii, because when you leave Hawaii, when you're a native Hawaiian or a Kama'aina and you leave Hawaii, that means that you're not going to see your relatives, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, every other year, every couple years. So when these families are swept away, it's a real catastrophe.
Yeah, Jason, I got to get going, but really quickly, you have a new book out. Quickly tell us about that and where we can get it.
Yeah, The Great Campaign Against the Great Reset. It's deploying Catholic social teaching against the ideology of extreme globalism. It's available. It's from Sophia Press. You can get it at Amazon.com or your local Catholic bookstore.
Okay, Jason, thank you so much. Always good to be with you.
Thank you, Tracy.